all, welcome back to a new post today. And today let's do something different. It's the regular post for the TSPSC mains upcoming main examination for 2023. Let's today analyze what are the important topics that you need to study rather than me telling you about a topic today. So I'll be analyzing the topic from paper 2, that is the third unit, which includes Geography of India and Telangana. And let's discuss what are the important subheadings or the chapters that you need to remember, especially something with regarding to recent happenings or whatever the dynamic issues with regard to these are of concern. So if you look at this unit 1 in Geography of India and Telangana, you have topics such as the physical setting, physiography, drainage, climate, mechanisms of the monsoon, and you have rainfall variability, flood and drought, vegetation, wildlife degradation, wildlife conservation measures, mineral and energy resources, energy crisis, marine resources, and finally you have water resources, and after that conservation measures. So these are the main chapters that are covered in this unit. Let's look at what are the important topics that you need to remember so that you can prepare better and you can finish your completion, you can complete your syllabus preparation with regard to Geography of India and Telangana, and then move on to the other units and the chapters as well. So with regard to physical setting, you need to remember the physical setting of India with regard to its position in Asia and also the land boundaries, the maritime boundary of India, the states, the length, the area that is covered, the area of the country, and also its area with regard to the world setting. So it's the 7th largest country, and if you remember this data and write it in your answer, it will only give an impact that you're well prepared for the examination and also shows your interest. So this is a way to actually get more marks compared to other aspirants, and these are the things that we really do not remember on time. Then regarding physical setting, you can also remember the borders with the neighbors, any border disputes with our neighboring countries such as Pakistan, Afghanistan, China, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh. Recently the Kalapani issue, the LAC issue with China, Bangladeshi border is resolved, but we have the issue of the Teesta river sharing, etc. And then you can even the Bhutan with regard to the Doklam issue and recent issue of Bhutan planning to discuss this with China and its interest with India. Apart from the Pakistani border, the POK area, especially with regard to the China-Pakistan economic corridor that passes through the POK area, which violates our integrity and sovereignty. You can remember these disputes along with the neighbors. All of these comes in the physical setting because we have a very long boundary with our neighbors, almost 15,200 kilometers, a maritime boundary of 7,516 kilometers, which is a part of our boundary in India. And the issue of Setu Samudram project in the Park Strait region with Sri Lanka, this can also be taken into consideration. Now moving on to physiography, so you learn the various physiographic features, you learn them from which area they have been, from which era they have been formed. So we have physiographic features as old as the peninsular region that was part of the Gondwana land, and then you can go on to learn how the major physiographic features and the minor physiographic features that are found on this, such as the erosional and the depositional features. You can interrelate these physiographic features with the type of industries, the states that are these physiographic regions are found in, also the tectonic divisions of India, the specific problems and advantages of the various physiographic regions with regard to the Himalayan, advantages, disadvantages, the Rajasthan, what role do they play even climatically as well, the peninsular region, the coastal region, the islands, etc., plain regions, etc. Micro regions in detail, as I told you, erosional and depositional landforms. For example, you can divide the physiographic region into various micro regions. For example, the peninsula is divided into various plateaus where you have very rich mineral resources. You can name the mineral regions in this, and along with the states, and also at the micro level you can give it the name of 2 to 3 districts as well. Plains are divided into the micro regions such as the upper, middle and the lower Ganga plain. They are smaller plains such as you have the Rar plain, you have the Awadh plain, you have the Rohilkhand plains, etc. Then you can also identify plains are formed by deposition of the rivers, so you can name the rivers of these plains and also important industries located in these regions as well. This will also fetch you very good marks. Now if you can, as I told you, map drawing, having a free hand in drawing a very good India map will help you. Having a free hand in drawing very good, not very so perfect, but at least you should be able to draw the states as well, which will really show your interest and preparation and fetch you better marks compared to the other students as well. the rivers that flow to them. Moving on to the topic of drainage. So usually if you look at a textbook, they just give you the difference between the peninsula and the Himalayan drainage, and the features with regard to this, but you can go much more further into it. You can study the features of the Himalayan drainage, the peninsular drainage, the features of the drainage system of Telangana, the coastal drainage, because we have coastal rivers in the Western Ghats coming from the Western Ghats, which have very, very different features. Also the rivers of the Eastern Ghats, and also flowing into the East Coast as well. You can speak about the extension of the delta region of Godavari and Krishna and how they hamper the port development as well. Apart from that, you can also speak of the features of the West Coast and the East Coast rivers. You can speak of the Northeast drainage system, which is very, very peculiar. Apart from that, you have a peninsular drainage system flowing towards the north, which flows into the Ganga. You can speak about it, name a few rivers as well, mark them on the map as well. And beginning for all of this, you can study the features of the nature, the characteristic features of the drainage system, tracing it from the antecedent, consequent drainage system, and the various geographical, the designs of the drainage system like trellis, dendritic, parallel, etc. Do not forget to study about the major drainage basins in the country. And apart from that, the areas in the state they can flow, you can also name a few interstate river water disputes, because most of the states flow through two or more states. Most of the rivers flow through two or more states in the country. Coming to climate, the mechanism of the monsoon, you should remember about, we have certain theories explaining the monsoon. You have to remember the shifting of the intertropical convergence belt, and also the movement of the southwest monsoons, which become your southeast trade winds, move across the equator and become southwest monsoons, and how the impact of the jet streams on the monsoon should not be forgotten. You have to remember features of the southern oscillation system, the impact on the monsoon, the effect, what is El Nino, La Nina, and El Nino Modoki, and also you can study about these impact of the monsoon. This year has been called as a El Nino year by IMD. This year we had the cyclone also, the first cyclone in the Bay of Bengal region, and how it impacted the western, it clashed with the western disturbances, and there was immense flooding in North India. This is a major region. You can also trace and map the regions of flooding in the North India because of the monsoons. You can also speak of the extensive rainfall that is happening because of the Doksuri the hurricane in China, which is seeing once in a century of high rains in that region. You can also connect the monsoon with climate change and how the monsoons are changing, and also the mechanism of the monsoon is being impacted because of climate change and global warming. You can also speak about the rainfall, how rainfall is received not only from the monsoon but also from the western disturbances, the tropical cyclones. The names of the last year cyclones should be remembered, also the places that they impacted, the west coast and the east coast as well. You can speak about the first cyclone that happened this year in the Bay of Arabian Sea region. Naming of the cyclonic system, which has been a very important question even in the UPSC as well. This will also help you in the TSPSC, and I'm sure definitely they will try to match up with the UPSC standards as well, because it's going to help the students who prepare both from the TSPSC and the UPSC point of view. The only difference is for TSPSC you don't have to prepare for an optional subject. Apart from that, you can also read about the IMD system of warning of the cyclone, and also the rainfall, and and how what is the system of tracking of the rainfall and prediction of rainfall followed by this IMD as well. If you come to rainfall variability, this is one of the very peculiar features in India, rainfall variability. There is a break. It comes with a burst of monsoon, but then there is a break in the monsoon, and that happens very frequently. So we have a break in the months of August and September also, and usually variability is a peculiar feature, especially in South India and the Northeast India, and the highly variable regions are also the most drought prone region, and very, very less rainfall is received in this region. They also have the need of high irrigation in this region, and also agriculture is not very successful in this region as well. So you can speak about the regions of rainfall variability. You can learn the map of variability, name the states and the districts as well, for example Vidarbha in Maharashtra, Koraput and Keonjhar in Odisha, places in Telangana, Karnataka, etc. you can speak about the map of irrigation, and also you can speak about the rain shadow region, which is also a region of rainfall variability and how it is drought prone as well. You can name a few crops that are grown in the regions of high rainfall variability, especially how climate change as of recent has increasing the rainfall variability extensively in India. Issues of heavy rainfall in North India, which is not only because of the monsoon but because of also the tropical cyclone and also the western disturbances and also cloud bursts. So these are the issues that you can study with regard to rainfall variability. Please do not forget to get your hands well on the Indian map of rainfall variability, along with the percentage of the variability which increases from the south towards the northwest in the desert region. Now going on to floods and droughts. So please remember the definitions of the floods and droughts, because floods are you have floods caused by different meteorological regions and also man-made region. Drought also you have meteorological, hydrological drought, etc. Learn the map of these floods and droughts. You have some regular regions which face the drought. That's because of the variability of the monsoon and the break in the monsoon, and also drought is being extensively increased because of deforestation, urbanization, and also now increasing in climate change and global warming. Please name the states, the regions and the districts as well. Similarly to this, you have a flood map. Please try to remember the rivers that keep flooding the regions of high drought prone regions, especially the floods during the monsoon, during the cloudburst and during the tropical cyclone. The rivers that flood and why, the reasons also. For example, the northern region, the rivers flood because of extensive meandering and very low gradient of the region in the North India, but there is other regions for flooding, especially in the Himalayan region, the northeast region, etc. Silting of the riverbeds is one of the main region as well, and also a high rainfall in the northeastern region coupled with silting of the Brahmaputra river. Next, coming to soil. Name the various soils in the country, learn about the soil profile, the various nutrients, the deficiency of Indian soil, the features of the Indian soil, especially the crops that are grown in various soil, giving examples of them, nutrients, recent development with regard to organic fertilizers, especially nano fertilizers that has been launched by the government of India, that is nano urea and nano DAP by the IFFCO. This, and also speak about the soil testing kits both by the Telangana government and also the government of India as well. Coming to vegetation and the wildlife degradation, it is important that you remember the types of vegetation found from the tropical equatorial rainforest in the Western Ghats through the alpine forest in the Himalayas and the submontane forests in the northeastern region, the desert forest in the desert region as well. Remember the species of the flora and fauna that is very distinctive to these regions, and apart from that you can also speak about certain conservation areas that are located in this vegetation region as well. If you look at wildlife degradation, you can speak about the National Mission for Green India or Afforestation under the National Action Plan for Climate Change. Please remember the 8 missions of the National Action Plan for Climate Change. You can try to draw it as a flow chart, or you can give it in a box form, which will only improve the quality of your answers and show the examiner how well you are prepared with the examination and also your interest and dedication to crack the examination. Speak about biosphere reserves, the recently added biosphere reserves and the first biosphere reserves, the reserves that are included in the Man in the Biosphere program. Do not forget to please understand the difference between the national park, the wildlife sanctuary and the biosphere reserve, the features of the biosphere reserve, etc. Recently, the Forest Conservation Act changes have been made. India is a tropical country. We need to have 33% of the land in a forest, but we have only 23 at present, and now again there are changes to this Forest Conservation Act. Try to track down the changes that are happening in the Forest Conservation Act, what are the changes that it will bring and how it's going to affect as well, what are the debates surrounded under this as well. You can speak about the conservation actions like national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, biosphere reserves, heritage conservation sites, maritime reserves, wetlands, etc. If you look at the conservation measures, recently itself India has celebrated 50 years of Project Tiger, and we should not forget that it's a blessing of the Project Tiger that we have a Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, under which we have 6 schedules and there are various levels of protection for all the flora and fauna. Please don't forget to remember the 6 levels of gradation by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, and also speak about the 50 years of Project Tiger, how it has been a success, what are the recently added added your tiger reserves. We have almost 54 tiger reserves in the country. You can remember this project, species specific project like Project Turtle, your elephant, cheetah, snow leopard, Gangetic dolphin, one-horned rhino, lion now is planning to be launched by the Government of India. Prime Minister Modi has spoken about it. Project Cheetah recently had, most of the cheetahs have died. There have been various reasons for that. We are getting the cheetahs from Namibia and Africa. We are bringing the cheetahs to protect the grasslands because they are the key species in the grasslands ecosystem, and grasslands are very, very important for India. You can speak about the Great Indian Bustard, which is just 200 plus number in India, found mainly in Gujarat and Rajasthan region, and how the Supreme Court has spoke and called upon the government for a specific project to protect the Great Indian Bustard bird in the Rajasthan and the Gujarat region. You can speak about all of this. You can also speak about the maritime conservation regions in the country. Apart from that, if you just go across to energy crisis, which is the next most important topic, where it says role of non-conventional energy sources, but you now need to remember both about conventional and non-conventional energy resources. Conventional being your coal, petroleum, thermal power, natural gas, etc., and the non-conventional, your ethanol. Don't forget the ethanol blended program, your solar, national solar mission, the solar power parks, the wind, the International Solar Alliance, and geothermal energy, tidal energy, biogas energy, and the next topic, and various programs related to, especially with your intended nationally determined contributions and the dedication of India towards the COP26 goals with regard to the Paris Climate Change Agreement as well. You can go on to speak. Next topic includes your maritime resources. So under your maritime resources, you can speak about you have economic significance and exclusive economic zone. Recently, changes have been made to the exclusive economic zone to increase the export potential of these regions. With regard to maritime resources, you can study about biological diversity, ecosystem services offered by the maritime ecosystem, the deep ocean mission, which is being taken up by the government of India to go onto the floor of the Indian Ocean. You can speak about the recent treaty, that is the Ocean Resources Treaty. I'm not getting the name suddenly, but yes, you can speak about the fish and the seafood also with regard to marine resources. You can also speak about your mineral resources, deep sea mining, permission of which has been granted by the United Nations to India, and therefore we are having a deep sea mission as well. Oil and natural gas reserves on the continental shelf. We have a very, very large continental shelf extending from the Kutch to the Kolkata to West Bengal. You can learn about that, the oil and gas reserves, the shale gas reserves as well, natural gas, especially in the Krishna, Godavari, Kaveri region. New renewable energy resources such as marine resources, your tidal energy and geothermal energy, sand and gravel industry especially, and the tourism potential. Do not forget to learn about the coastal regulation zone notification and the recent changes made, with regard to Biological Diversity Act in 2023. You can also speak about the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 because it is online, that we have celebrated 50 years of Project Tiger, and it is on during the Project Tiger itself. Prime Minister Indira Gandhi had brought about this Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Before that, we did not have an act to protect the species, that is the flora and fauna of the country. And apart from that, coming lastly to the water resources, please remember we have both surface and groundwater resources. Learn both about the surface and the groundwater resources. Do not forget to learn about the water stress atlas in the country. Recent issues such as the Ken-Betwa link, the National River Linking Project and its benefits. Also interstate river sharing. We have an Interstate River Sharing Act, Interstate River Water Disputes Act of 1956. But in 2017, the Government of India has brought a bill for an integrated tribunal for all the river disputes that hasn't been implemented. What are the pros and cons of that bill which hasn't been implemented, and what are your views about that bill? Tomorrow when you go to interview, this is all going to help you for sure. And if you see, don't forget to study about the Ken-Betwa link, the National River Linking Project and its benefits. So far we have 9 water dispute tribunals which have constituted to adjudicate the interstate river water disputes, out of which 5 tribunals have adjudicated the water disputes, and subsequently these tribunals have been dissolved as well. And lastly and finally, conservation measures. which I've already revisited in the previous topics with regard to your maritime resources, and also with regard to wildlife and your vegetation and wildlife degradation as well. So these are the important topics that you can revisit for your paper 2 with regard to Geography of India and Telangana Unit 3, and I'm sure that this information will definitely help you all. If you did, please do not forget to share, like and subscribe, and I shall see you tomorrow in my next post. Until then, happy learning.